by its own authority. Canon and tradition, page 263. Is this pretty clear? So what is higher, tradition or the Bible?
No, tradition wins again.
All right, Martin. Should we talk about the Bible and its authority again?
Oh, for sure. We have to put it straight what the Bible, where's the authority?
Is that another bone of contention?
Oh,
I think so. It's a bone of contention across all spectrums.
it has to be because, and we've done this. But
We've done it.
We have to do it again because the problem is people don't realize how serious it is that we need to have the pure word to know what God says.
And to know who we worship.
Yeah,
How do we tell the world who we worship? By keeping the Sabbath.
that's it.
It's the sign.
It's a sign. It's showing the world who's the authority in your life.
And those 2 cups that this woman is carrying over here, hey, those that will be saved in their sins and those that will be saved by their works, those that receive the mark in the forehead and those that receive the mark in their hand. Isn't that interesting?
It's precisely what's happening and where we are heading.
All right, Catholic record tells us Sunday is founded not on scripture but on tradition and is distinctly a Catholic institution. So the Protestants claim it as their own.
But
They're making fools of themselves.
yeah.
The New Testament makes no explicit mention that the apostles changed the day of worship, but we know it from tradition. The New Revised Baltimore Catechism.
Easter Sunday and Easter Friday. Who decides the dates?
The Pope decides the date.
So it's not the Protestant churches.
No, he
Oh.
decides it. Now, what does the Lord feel about all of these traditions that take the place of the law of God? Matthew 15, verses 3, 6, and 9. But he answered and said to them, why do you also transgress the commandments of God by your traditions? And you voided the commandment of God by your tradition. But in vain they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men. Martin, in vain.
In vain. Human rights in vain.
In vain. In vain.
Who gave us our rights?
God gave us our rights.
So that document, that human nonsense that document that they put there, is definitely not from God.
No, it sounds beautiful, but it's contrary to the law of God. Now, do the Protestants know this, or are they willfully ignorant, or are they just plain ignorant?
Well, I think they know.
They know. Let's have a look. The Episcopal Church. Is there any command in the New Testament to change the day of weekly rest from Saturday to Sunday? None. This is the manual of the Christian doctrine. We have made a change from the seventh day to the first day, from Saturday to Sunday, on the authority of the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church of Christ. Why we keep Sunday? Do they acknowledge that they are worshipping in vain?
Yeah, they're acknowledging that they succumb to the authority of the Catholic Church.
All right. What about the Lutherans? The observance of the Lord's Day is founded not on any command of God, but on the authority of the Church. This is in the Augsburg Confession. Do they know it?
Yes, and they already, again, give the authority to the Church above the authority of God.
All right. What about the Presbyterians? A change of the day to be observed from the last day of the week to the first. There is no record, no express command authorizing this change. This comes from their writings, the Christian Sabbath. What about the Methodists? Take the matter of Sunday. There is no passage telling Christians to keep that day or to transfer the Jewish Sabbath to that day. This comes from their Christian Advocate of 1942. Do they know?
Oh, for sure.
But they've forgotten, right?
The only problem is it wasn't a Jewish Sabbath, it was a human Sabbath.
All right, but they've forgotten.
Yeah.
Is that why the commandment begins with remember?
Yes.
What about the Congregationalists? It is quite clear that however rigidly or devoutly we spend Sunday, we are not keeping the Sabbath. There's not a single sentence in the New Testament to suggest that we incur any penalty by violating the supposed sanctity of Sunday. These are their own writings, their own words. What about the Anglicans? Many people think that Sunday is the Sabbath, but neither in the New Testament nor in the early church is there anything to suggest that we have any right to transfer the observance of the seventh day of the week to the first. The Sabbath was and is Saturday, not Sunday. Church and People, 1947. Do they know?
They know, and they very rightly emphasize that not in the early church is there anything to suggest this, because a lot of people say, oh no, but just after the disciples were there, they changed. They actually already started with Paul.
Correct. These people know. What about the Baptists? There was and is a commandment to keep holy the Sabbath day, but that Sabbath day was not Sunday. There is no scriptural evidence of the change of the Sabbath institution from the seventh day to the first day of the week. This is their own writing, Martin.
And then they'll acknowledge that we're keeping the Lord's Day because of either the Catholic Church changing it or because he rose upon it. That's the only thing they go with.
All right. So let's just make sure again. Sunday is purely a creation of the Catholic Church. Comes from the American Catholic Quarterly. Sunday. It is the law of the Catholic Church alone. American Sentinel. The observance of Sunday by Protestants is a homage they pay in spite of themselves to the authority of the Catholic Church. It is absolutely documented that they have no leg to stand on.
Yeah.
And they are worshipping the beast.
That's it. Because he is the one that made those laws.
But the Protestant says, how can I receive the teaching of an apostate church? Now they're being sarcastic, Martin.
This is the Catholic Church being sarcastic.
Yes, this is the Baltimore Catholic Mirror. How, we asked, have you managed to receive her teachings all your life in direct opposition to your recognized teacher, the Bible, on the Sabbath question? Is that a challenge?
Yeah, that's actually... they're laughing in their face.
Okay.
In the Protestant face.
Those who follow the Bible as their guide, the Israelites and the Seventh-day Adventists, have the exclusive weight of evidence on their side. Whilst the biblical Protestant has not a word in self-defense for the substitution of Sunday for Saturday. Do they know something, these Catholics? Do they know that the Israelites and the Seventh-day Adventists are actually keeping God's law?
Yes.
And the rest is keeping a Catholic law?
Exactly, and they're not...
hiding it.
They're not hiding it. And once again, go and look at that article. I'll put the link to the article again in this description of this video.
Then in the Catholic Mirror, the Catholic Church acknowledges that the Adventists are the only body of Christians with the Bible as their teacher, who can find no warrant in its pages for the change of day from the seventh to the first. Hence their appellation, Seventh-day Adventists.
Just explain the name again, because a lot of people, they don't want to have anything to do with it because the name sounds so strange.
Sounds so strange. They keep the seventh day because God said keep the seventh day. And they believe in the second coming of Christ. That's why they are called Seventh-day Adventists. Does the Catholic Church know why they're called Seventh-day Adventists?
Precisely, that's what they
So
mention.
Martin, if they know it so well, do we need to be in an ecumenical council to remind them?
No.
No, they know it.
We don't have to be there. If you are not there with an evangelistic purpose,
Then don't
then
go.
don't go.
The Catholic Church changed the observance of the Sabbath to Sunday by right of the divine infallible authority given to her by her founder, Jesus Christ. That's another Christ, by the way. The Protestant, claiming the Bible to be their only guide of faith, has no warrant for observing Sunday. In this matter, the Seventh-day Adventist is the only consistent Protestant. Question box, the Catholic Universe Bulletin. Martin, the Rome says there's only one consistent Protestant organization in the world, and that's the Seventh-day Adventist.
And that's the only church that they acknowledge is keeping the same laws and standards as the disciples did.
Okay, so Martin, isn't it interesting that both the Protestant world and the Catholic world are arrayed against the Seventh-day Adventists in this issue?
Yeah. I always ask a question for the youth. Were the disciples after Jesus ascended to heaven, Seventh-day Adventists.
Of course, they kept the Sabbath, they kept the seventh day, and they preached the coming of Christ in the future.